Welcome, everyone, to Prop It Up. It is the week before the Super Bowl, so no football, but that doesn't mean there aren't a ton of props. You could argue there might be more props coming up now than on normal NFL weekends. So it's 4 o'clock Eastern time, which means the weekend has officially started. Joining me, Mid-Major Matt, Andrew McInnis. We are all joining forces to tackle this Super Bowl and go over a bunch of props. We're going to go over our first thoughts on the Super Bowl props. Then we'll talk about some NHL, some college basketball, and some NBA. NBA should be a really, really good show. Matt, I'll go to you. What has this week looked like for you without any NFL coming into this weekend? What else are you focusing on?
Well, I've been doing my college basketball. It's been a bit of a roller coaster. Had a couple of good days and then some bad days, so it's been a roller coaster. But under your tutelage and under my research, I've started NBA props, 5-2 so far, and I'm really enjoying it. And between you and Andrew and everybody, it's been a lot of fun. And maybe, as you said, finding a little groove early on as they start selling NBA props.
Andrew, what does this week look for you? I'm sure it's been jam-packed with hockey, right?
Yeah, puck time's going great. The response to the show has been outstanding. We've had different guests on every single day, pretty much. But you know, the bigger bets have gone pretty well, the 4 and 5%. But to be completely honest, the new divisions are completely screwing with me. I'm just getting used to them still. So NHL has been, a lot of research, a lot of reading. Just it's a battle to get to know this new format and stuff like that. But I'm feeling like I'm getting the hang of it. NBA is just, I said this to you guys before, it's such a headache following who's going to be in the lineup, who's out of it, the matchups every single day. So I'm in action tonight. I have a play up at WagerTalk.com, a best bet on a side, and hope to keep moving forward.
NBA props have been great. I'm ecstatic that I'm still holding on to the number one NBA spot on WagerTalk, not NBA props,
Let's
NBA
go, Andy.
spot.
Yeah.
I know, holding it down for the prop community as far as units earned. It was funny. Rob Vino was on WagerTalk today, and he was like, "I'm number 2. I think I'm getting close to number 1." I was like, "Not if Joe Harris goes over his point total tonight, sir." So it's been really good. NBA props have been great. That's what I've been really focused on. We got some golf action. Let's just get to the Super Bowl. Let's jump right in it. Matt, you sent out some really, really good topics that are pertinent to what we're doing right now and the level of props that are coming out as they slowly kind of come out into the DraftKings, FanDuel, and offshores. So the first topic you want to talk about is generic Super Bowl prop strategy. I think I'll let you describe it, but I'm assuming you mean like how do you think the game is going to go? How do you what preconceived notions do you have? I'll let you go and just start talking about generic Super Bowl prop strategies.
Well, it's not so much the game itself. It's, everybody's going to get kind of overwhelmed. You look at your favorite sports book, you look at your favorite place, and you see the paper packets that come out, and you're like, wow, this is a lot of stuff. I want to dive right in. So the thing I've been doing, for Super Bowl is before I even look at that stuff, before I even take a dive into it, I got to mentally play the Super Bowl in my head. Now, I'm not going to play every down and everything, but you kind of have to figure out who you think's going to win, what the score is going to be. Are both teams going to be leading? What do you think? And so, if you have a preconceived notion of what the game's going to be before you even look at a single prop, you're not going to start jumping on everything. You're going to know, all right, I think Tom Brady's going to have a bad game. I'm going to take the under on this, this, and this, and I'm going to take the over on this, this, and this. And so that's what I think is important for people who watch this is just play the game out in your head before you even look at anything so it doesn't influence you. And then, of course, the same strategy. If you like an over, take it early. If you like an under, wait until Super Bowl Sunday because that thing will go up, up, and up.
Andrew, generic Super Bowl prop strategy.
Well, first of all, a great quote that Dave Koken said earlier today. He was filming a video of Free Pick, and he's just like, treat it just like any other game. And it's so hard for so many people to do and to follow, really, I guess. The last 5 to 6 weeks, I guess, of NFL action for me as far as prop goes, I was so high volume to start the season off, and I really thought that trusting my gut, narrowing things down, and talking about so many games with you guys on this show would really help me, decide and narrow it down. But I'm still releasing 5 or 6, and I'll be honest, guys. From late, early December, late November, I've had the most success with props just making it a 1 to 3 selections. And now I'm not saying that for here in the big game, you have to limit yourself to that. But first of all, my number one tip would be treat it the exact same as if it's any other game. Number two, look at some previous Super Bowls, look at some of the matchups, look at some similarities to these teams, to those teams, and how they played out. And just like Matt said, I think it's a pretty blanket statement that a lot of people might not follow, is they're just picking stats and picking guys and picking props. But you might as well pick those props with an idea of how you think this game will go. If you look at it, Tampa Bay ended the last time these two teams played. Tampa Bay ended the game on a 14-0 run. Kansas City started the game on a 7-0 run in the first quarter with Tampa Bay going scoreless. So you can look at certain things like that in matchups and wonder who's going to be behind, who's going to have to dominate the line of scrimmage, who's going to struggle to do this, how many sacks will there be, and things of that nature. And that's kind of what I've really been doing, and that's why I feel like it's good to have this show for us so that next week we come in locked and loaded and ready for some great props to give the viewers.
Yeah, when I'm preparing for the Super Bowl, I try and figure out some angles I want to go after, and I got to say, a lot of unders have been where the edge is, and I think it really is because we've had so many Super Bowls with the New England Patriots, and it was based on Bill Belichick and Brady, where that first quarter was it was a snail's pace. They wanted that first quarter to be as slow as possible so they could see what the other team was doing. And if 25% of the game is basically a scouting report, almost a preseason game for them, you're going to have a lot of unders. I don't see this game going that way. I'm leaning more towards some overs than in years past. I brought up that, Brady's not going to be nervous, obviously. Mahomes isn't going to be nervous. Andy Reid's not going to be nervous. There's just going to be a lot of I think they're going to come out of the gate strong. I see this as two teams that are used to being in Super Bowls. I mean, Antonio Brown's going to be fine. Bruce Arians is not going to be nervous. I don't know if that guy's ever been nervous in his life. So I think the first quarter starts, and I think they hold nothing back. I don't think there's a feeling out process. They've already played once this year. So I think this is, if this was a boxing match, it would be a lot of punches thrown early as opposed to a lot of quick jabs to see how the other guy's going to go. So
I would say the one fly in the ointment here, and I just read a tweet today from Adam Schefter, is if anybody tests positive for COVID, minus Mahomes or Brady, they can't play in the Super Bowl this day forward. So that's the only thing that if you make an early prop wager, be ready to figure out how to get out of it if, let's say, Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's out and you need to start filling in on other people. So make your prop bet early, but be ready to get out of it if somebody gets COVID.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. That includes coaches, all that stuff. So, keep an eye on COVID. But, boy, I got to believe that all these players are under very, very strict rules. Like, you don't leave your house. you don't leave that house. Your son takes out the trash. Like, you're not leaving. So,
why would they want to risk it, right? Why would they want to risk it?
Yes, it's silly. Why would you ever do that? So, all right, let's go to the next topic. MVP discussion. Can anyone win besides Brady or Mahomes? Man, this is a really tough one. Matt, I'll go to you first. MVP props. Everyone loves jumping on Mahomes and Brady. Why wouldn't they? Scroll down the list. Do you see anybody else that you like?
Well, I think you can make a case for Kelsey or Hill. If they make a bunch of circus catches, acrobatic catches, you could certainly make the case. But then again, people will say, well, if they're making catches, who's throwing? It's Mahomes. Mm-hmm. I guess if Chad Henne comes in and they, then you could get Kelsey or Tyreek Hill. On the Bucs side, I mean, maybe Fournette. I don't think so. I mean, you could really go far and go Devin White because he's a really good linebacker. Maybe he has an interception, a couple sacks. But I mean, to me, it's one of those things where if you sprinkle anything on any of these other guys, it's got to be your smallest unit size ever, like 1/10 of a unit, just because you have a hunch that Scotty Miller is going to have 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. Andrew, do you got any thoughts on MVP props?
Well, guys, it's so funny because our job is to try and find winning bets, but also in the process find value. I'm looking at the FanDuel Sportsbook right now. I see minus 105 for Mahomes and plus 200 for Tom Brady. And I have this pulled up right now on ESPN. The past MVPs of Super Bowls, it's been QB, wide receiver, QB, linebacker, QB, linebacker, QB, wide receiver, QB, wide receiver, QB. So when you look at this, I was feeling the exact same way as Matt, thinking, maybe Fournette could get in there. He could dominate the line of scrimmage. He could have a huge game and make a big difference for this team. But I don't know, guys. I think with all the headlines that we're seeing, and I'm not saying that the media is such a thing that should be bought into, but the storyline is Mahomes against Brady, right? That's just the storyline is what it is. Unless there's an extraordinary game from any of these receivers where it's like multiple touchdown receptions, just incredible yards, barely any drops. I feel like it's one of those types of things where it's like, make the argument for it not to be these two guys. Obviously, that's a blanket statement because these two guys are the favorites, but I wouldn't. You guys couldn't free roll me to take somebody down the list right now. I wouldn't even let you guys give me the money, to bet on some of these guys down the list. Even Mike Evans plus 3,400. This guy could have the game of his life, and they'd probably still give it to Brady. Am I wrong?
Probably not. I think you're probably right. I do want to before I give my take on this, I do want to let you guys know. We all three have a promo code Prop10. Prop10. Right now, our Super Bowl prop packages, they're up, and you really need to get on them now because they're updated all the way up until kickoff. So the more props that get released, you're going to get updated on those, and you're definitely going to get the best numbers. And if you use the promo code PROP10, you're going to get $10 off. So you can get Andrew's, you can get Matt's, you can get mine. Me and Andrew on WagerTalk. Matt is on sportsmemo.com. It's a great deal because I'm sure we're all going to have a lot of props. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's profitable. This has been a very profitable game. And we've done this all season long, so we're used to it. This isn't like three guys that are at a Super Bowl party going, well, I think this is going to happen. No, real research goes into these. So fun prop package, and it's only $29 if you use the promo code Prop10.
And that's why, Andy, when you say the values on some of the values on the unders, because no one wants to go to their Super Bowl party and say, yay, incompletion, yay, drop pass, yay, penalty. So there is value. That's why, once again, you wait, you're going to get so much value on some of these unders.
I've done that at Super Bowl. I've hosted Super Bowl parties where Julian Edelman over, great, but everyone else under. Just don't throw to them. So,
It's even the same thing as the interception props. People that don't always gamble and don't always play props, they're like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see that.
Yeah,
I don't want to see somebody throw a pick. It's like, I don't know. I know you don't want to see it, but it might happen.
Well, you have to tell me if Drew Brees shows up into Tom Brady's form like he did on Sunday with those lollipops he threw last week. My God, I didn't know Drew Brees was in
Matt, because a certain team couldn't take advantage of it.
Oh, well, yeah, exactly. I was rooting for your certain team.
Oh, that's funny. Let me throw two guys out there that could be sleepers. I don't know if this has ever happened, but at plus, what is this, 12,500. What if you grabbed either Ryan Suckup or Harrison Butker? What if this game turns into a lot of yards, but they just can't quite punch it in, and one of these guys goes 5 for 5?
I don't even think
to win it. No,
Andy. I don't think my parents were alive by the last time a kicker won the MVP, or if a kicker has ever won the MVP.
It's a contrarian play.
Oh,
it's something.
God.
It's something.
That's not even a contrarian play. That's well past contrarian. That's just insanity.
That's like a just came back from the dispensary type of play.
$1 to win 126. Let's go. So, I was actually thinking Tyreek Hill has the most value at plus 1,200. I could see an end around with him that goes long. If that's a game breaker, or if he breaks a long one, or if there's a trick play, Tyreek Hill is kind of the obvious guy that could be involved in that. Maybe some halfback option pass that goes to Hill. I actually think there is some value on 12. What?
No, I could see you drawing up these plays here. But see, this is you probably envision this game, and you see Tyreek Hill doing more than just wide receiver. So this means you probably like potentially that bet. What is it? The over 2.5 players to throw a pass? Because it's plus money.
Well, actually, I was going at it in a different direction. I actually think there's value in that if Mahomes gets his toe stepped on, or if there's an injury and he's got to come out for a couple plays.
No way he's leaving the game. I don't think he's leaving the game. Did you guys see that room that was going around? I can't remember what player it was. Matt, you might have seen it. There was a player that was pretty much saying, like, yeah, be careful of his little old man walk to the bench. Don't let it fool you. This guy is not injured. He can run. Apparently people were going after him saying, like, hey, it was like Bills players. They were just saying, yeah, like, don't believe this fake little act that he's putting forward. It's like, this guy's fine. So I don't know. I think, it's fun. I'm not trying to be the Grinch here of the show.
No, it's okay.
By any means.
I would also like to point out that Matt sent us the topic of an MVP discussion, and I discussed the MVP, and Matt says no.
You just said the kickers. You didn't. That was be like, hey, well, what about an offensive lineman? Whatever. Let me ask you this. I'll ask both of you this. I'll start with you, Andrew. Without giving it away, do you have an idea which way you're going in this game yet, or in terms of the side or total? Don't give it away, but do you know yet?
I can't give you 100%. No, I've been speaking with people. I've been on a few shows and mentioning ideas, but I've pretty much said I have nothing set in stone. I have not placed a wager yet.
Andy?
I've already played 4 props already in this game. So
what about side or total? Are you made up on your mind on that?
No, not side or total. I've placed several props that are in the prop package. These are lines that I expect to go down. I'll tell you one of them. FanDuel had it at -165. I'm seeing it -175, and that's Travis Kelce to catch a touchdown. I don't think that moves towards even money. I think that moves away from it, especially as next week starts. So I
great pick.
I think I think it's juicy, but who are they going to go to in this game? It's going to be Tyreek Hill, and it's going to Travis Kelce.
I'd argue that's not even juicy.
Yeah,
I'd argue that's not even. It's what
reasonable.
It should be. Yeah.
It's reasonable for the best skill possession player in this game.
Yeah. So that's an example of one that, on paper, you go, oh, man, -175, guaranteed this is going to be -200 or worse when kickoff rolls around. So
as far as defensive players goes, is that anything that you guys would look at? I know that we're all saying it's probably an MVP, and we're looking at some secondary options. Andy threw out the kicker, which would honestly, Andy, if the more field goals I see during that game, the more I will be thinking of you, like, wow, this could be crazy. But what do you guys think about, like, any defensive player? I mean, I remember when back when Von Miller was just dominating that game. Is there anything that you guys can see from that angle?
It's got to be Devin White. I mean, Devin White's the best defensive player, I would say, in this game, or Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah,
maybe.
Tyrann Mathieu. Plus 5,000.
I mean, that's I'm not going to do it because I don't, I'm not going to sprinkle on it. But those are the 2 names, since you asked the question, I would say probably would be the ones I would go to.
The thing with when Von Miller won it is the winning team did not exactly have a dynamic offense. I mean, Peyton Manning was on his last leg and arm and was, really struggling. So that was ripe for a defensive player. Like, this is going to be tough. If they score as many points as we think they're going to score and that the line suggests they're going to score, it's going to be hard to nominate a defensive player as the one that makes the big play. So
let me, and here's the other thing to say real quick before we move to topic 3. This is the other part where we always say shop around, because your Kelce bet, it could be a lot higher in somebody else's book. It could be a lot lower in somebody else's book. So make sure shop around and get as many options as possible.
Yeah. Let's see. The next topic, anytime touchdown prop. Thoughts on how you will attack it? Andrew, go right ahead.
I will attack this like I do not care about odds. That's how I will attack this, because it is a big game. It is, it's not one of those things where we have a number of games, to go over like it's a regular given prop it up show where we're, I don't like this guy's matchup. I don't want to lay the -150. To your point and to what I was just saying is that Travis Kelce at -165 at whatever shop you got it at. Was it DraftKings? I can't remember what you said. FanDuel, that's worth it for me. And I guess that's kind of what I'm going to open up to say that my strategies are going to be, is that I am going to pick who I think will score. This is not the game. As much as I said I'm going to treat it like any other game, when it comes down to the touchdown scores, I'm not going to pass up on this guy at a -140 because I chose to get a guy at +200 that won't score. I'm not going to pass up on a guy that's going to score for someone that has a lot more value. Now, potentially, you could look at some other guys that do present some value that will be more plus money, but I'm definitely going to be playing that for smaller wagers. Also, you can kind of look at it and look back at the games that both these teams played in, or at least their close games. We know both of them have been involved in some heavy, bigger blowouts or lopsided victories. Look to see the players and look to see who was that stepped up in the close games, not just the guys that were blowout material. And that's something I'll be looking at for sure and 100% in this game.
Matt, what do you think about the touchdown props?
Scotty Miller. I love Scotty Miller. And on FanDuel, he's +380. I mean, he's the type of guy that if he has one catch, it could be a touchdown. I'm pretty sure he only had one catch last week, and it was a touchdown. And then to me, I mean, Le'Veon at +500. Look, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's the starting running back for the Chiefs, is +220. Darrell Williams is actually better. Spoiler alert, I think the books are giving a lot more respect to Darrell Williams than they should. If Le'Veon Bell's playing, we could barely see Darrell Williams. So to me, it's odd to see Williams that has a better chance to get a touchdown than Clyde Edwards-Helaire right now. So definitely sprinkling on Scotty Miller. And, Gronk at +220. You never know. So, as Andrew said, I'm going to be a little bit more liberal when it comes to the anytime TD prop because, these plus prices are pretty valuable for some people.
And Matt, on DraftKings, Scotty Miller +475. So again, shopping around and getting the different books. I will throw out Mike Evans. He had 2 touchdowns against the Chiefs earlier this year. He seems to be a really popular red zone target for Brady. He's going to have extra time to make sure that knee's even more healthy. So if Gronk is covered in the end zone when they get down inside the 5, Evans is going to be the easy next choice as long as it's not Scotty Miller. So I don't know. Evans.
What about Hardman, guys? What do you think about that?
Who knows with that guy? It feels like he's got to get a busted coverage type of play. I don't know, Matt. What do you think about Hardman?
Hardman's the guy who's going to get you the longest touchdown pass or the longest run. I mean, there's going to be props for all that stuff. Obviously Tyreek Hill will, but I think Hardman's another guy who one catch for 50 yards is very possible for him.
Yeah. And that's the thing with him. He could actually have a quiet start and break out. I keep bringing up the media on today's show, but seeing a viral clip go around where he had that horrible play he made. And then, Mahomes and Kelce, everyone walks up to him and says, "Hey, you're going to be okay." And then he goes ahead and busts for a huge touchdown or a huge run. And the next play results in a touchdown. So, I think he will make a couple huge breakthrough plays. And I guess to your point, Matt, maybe I should look for him just on yards and not as much the touchdowns. But looking at it, I feel like we're having the same discussion as MVPs in a little bit, is pretty much looking at it. Travis Kelce -165, Tyreek Hill -160, and then you get into the pluses. Then you get into the +200s, the +300s, and things like that. Defensive touchdown. I've been bringing this up for a while. I brought this up on a couple of different shows. Tampa Bay defensive touchdown is +500. Kansas City +440. You look at this and something tells me there's going to be a defensive touchdown. That's always what you see on a prop sheet for the NFL. You see it on, just certain games in general. Props look at whether it's going to be an INT or just a defensive touchdown. I could see Tampa Bay's defense making a difference and getting a timely pick. And not to sound like a Mahomes hater, because I know how great he is. I'm pretty sure he actually most likely led the league in dropped pick opportunities for the opposition. How many picks could there have been if they didn't go off the hands? And And this isn't even just me saying this. There's actually been a lot of other people that have noticed that as well, that, hey, watch this highlight here. That went right in the defender's hands, didn't catch it. So I could see it, at these odds here, guys. I think it's worth some value.
Nice. Matt, anything else preliminary before we really get into it next week?
I would say not really. I mean, obviously, just as we said, here's the other thing. So we are giving our opinions. Not everybody's going to agree on how the game's going to go. Obviously, next week we'll have a better idea of what side we like, what total we like. Somebody likes an under is going to like something different than somebody who likes an over. So while I think the listeners and the watchers need to listen to what we say, if I think it's going to be a 57-50 game and my props are based off of that, and you think it's going to be a 27-20 game, then make sure to go off your own hunches because you're seeing the game differently than I am.
Absolutely. Special thanks to Darren and Ashley for joining us in the chat room. Fernando wanted to know, what does the Kansas City alt line at -6 or -6.5? I'm seeing about +155 on that. So if you like Kansas City to win bigger, then you're going to get +150. So thanks everyone for joining us on the Super Bowl. Let's get to some other sports props. They cross all sports lines. So Andrew, I'll go to you first. NHL, this is not a sport I follow. I followed it more than I normally have just because I like watching Puck Time and I see you guys. So what's been happening with some of the player props that you've been noticing this season?
Well, like I kind of ranted about it and sounded a little bit pissed off at the start of the show, is that there's there's divisions now. So in case anybody that's watching this show is just a football fan and not too aware of the NHL, I'm not sure. I know, Matt, you watch it and you've been watching Andy a little bit, but it's completely different the way that they're, number one, they're playing only a set certain amount of teams for the entire season. I mean, the North Canadian division, some of these guys are playing the same team 10 times over a 56-game season, which is a lot. 100% is a lot. And if you're playing a 2 or 3 or even a 4-game set, it sounds kind of square, but I've been grabbing these goal scorer props. It's like, you know what? This guy hasn't scored in this game, didn't score in that game. It's the last game of this 3-game set. All of a sudden, his odds are a lot better. He's averaging 5 shots per game. This is going to be the one that he finds it in. And I've been looking at these shots on goal props. I mean, the more that the games go on, the more physical they are, the more penalties there are. If you get a certain guy that is going to be on that number 1 power play, they're going to get their shots. I've seen it. I've seen props actually cash on 1 power play alone. And this is why I was trying to tell you last week, Andy, this is how you could find your Derrick Henry in the NHL. Just finding one player that gets a bunch of shots every single game. So there's actually only 1 game tonight. But I did want to just, provide some for the viewers. So this is what I had here. I have 2 different props lined up. Number 1 is Zach Werenski at +360. To me, that's just a plain and simple value bet for him to score a goal. I think that the thing with the Columbus Blue Jackets is they don't have a lot of tremendous talent and superstars, but they have a few guys you're going to rely on that are constantly creating the buzz. He's one of those guys. He's not in the top 3 by any means, but he's one of those guys. And that at that price, I'm comfortable taking him. And another one that's a little more less of a value play, but more so of one that I believe that any game that Columbus is involved in that deems to me to be a winnable hockey game, and any game against Chicago for anyone this year is going to be to get a point. This guy's name is Oliver Bjorkstrand. I always struggle with saying his name. Happy I got it there. But over 0.5 points, guys. So he could literally get the secondary assist, the first assist, or a goal, and you're cashing in with him. And, I don't always take a bunch of goal scoring and assist props, guys, on games like this because I do expect it to be low scoring. It's a 2% pick I'm on in this game for tonight at WagerTalk. But I do believe that that they will be involved in any goals that this team scores. And also, if you can look at some shots on goal or save props, I would look at Columbus in their shots on goal prop. It's anywhere between 28 and 30. I believe in a game like this where they know Chicago is weak defensively. They played a game last night. They should be fatigued. It's not going to be fancy hockey. It's going to be get everything you can on net. And some of these props are very interesting. I mean, it's the new age of props. I know you guys know what I'm talking about with this and picking unique props. I'll tell you, there's nothing funnier than watching a hockey game and all you're literally hoping for is just shots on target. You couldn't care less how quality, if it was a goal or not, whatever it might be. You just want a shot. So those are my props here for tonight. Anybody out there watching, really do like that prop. Oliver Bjorkstrand is his name to get 1 point at least on the game.
So good. Such great stuff. Matt, you're 5-2 in NBA props. That's awesome. I'd love for you to, I always enjoy kind of hearing about your experience for sure, kind of going over NBA props and also your college basketball. So what's it been like?
Well, we'll start with the college basketball. The back-to-backs are really messing things up. There are certain conferences that are playing each other back-to-back, 2 straight games at home, and there's some that have a day in between. Like tonight, the Boise State, Colorado State, they just played on Wednesday, and I've kind of been staying away from the second game for the most part, unless I actually watch the first game, because there's a lot of weird things that happen in these back-to-backs. And so, the same old, same old. I mean, Gonzaga has been really good and really kind, and Creighton, of course, we talk about Creighton every time here, and I talk about how much I love them on the first half at home. And then the Seton Hall game, they score 50 points on the road in the first half. They finally looked like Creighton. And, of course, I wasn't on them. So that's a team I like. And you just got to be careful with the COVID stuff. Unfortunately, one of the games I like, the Richmond-St. Louis game tonight, unfortunately got postponed. So we've seen a lot of teams coming off of COVID pauses. Drake was on like a 3-week pause. They were down 17 at halftime. They came back and won. St. Louis was off a 20-something day pause. And they came out and they lost outright at home to Dayton. So I would be careful. Michigan State yesterday looked horrendous after they were off a 3-week pause. So that's something definitely you should focus in. Tonight, the case that I'm on, and I'll give away one of my picks, I like Grand Canyon in the first half. New Mexico State has played 4 games this year, 3 of them against a lower-level team. They played one D1 school. They lost to Cal State Northridge 67-64. They're one of those New Mexico schools that doesn't have a home. So they've been on the road the whole time. They've had injury issues. They had a month-long COVID pause. So I look for Grand Canyon to get the jump on them early. Now, I'm not taking them game-wise because I had Missouri State game-wise, and, of course, Drake came back and won. But I'm looking to isolate the first halves of a lot of these teams that are coming off of COVID pauses and fading them, especially if they're on the road.
Wow, great. That is really
Awesome.
Good. And
that's crazy, Matt. So it's like the Raptors. They don't have a home team. They don't have a home.
Yeah, New Mexico for the first time this week is going to get to go home to practice, but they have to play every game out of Albuquerque. So there's teams like that. San Jose State doesn't really have a home. Stanford, I think, finally is allowed to be home. So it's just something to look for that there's some nomadic teams in college basketball nowadays.
Amazing. What does NBA props look like? You're doing better than most because you've been winning.
My guy Carmelo let me down yesterday, man. I mean, he was bricking everything.
He tends to do that a lot.
But that's my guy Carmelo, and he got the shots. Look, from one of the things I like to do with the points, rebounds, and assists is look at how many shots these guys get. And it was just 3 for 15. He actually had a ton of rebounds. He had 8 or 9 rebounds last night, so he should have hit, but. As we talked about, I like to look at DraftKings and FanDuel, and they do the rankings. When you put your lineups together, they say, this position is 26th against this player. So between that and reading articles and then, checking it by the king over here, Andy, I've started to do well. So DeAndre Hunter tonight. I love DeAndre Hunter tonight. I think the Wizards are prop gold when you're going up against them.
Oh my God, the Hawks and the Wizards. I mean, props galore in that game. So many shots. I'm probably not going to play the over on a lot of steals in that game. Most likely, a lot of props. So yeah, it's been fun. You texting what props you got, and we kind of worked through them together. It's honestly helped me. You've noticed a couple that have even slipped through my fingers. Props have been fantastic. I think I'm 8-3. This week. So the big one that I rode for, oh my gosh, I mean, he's increased my bankroll so much. Jeremy Grant, that streak is going away. He's gone under his point total. He was on I believe it was 13-0 run, and off of the back-to-backs, he doesn't quite get over there. I wonder if there's some fatigue going on. And they beat the Lakers so bad they rested him. So that's kind of the weird part about this season. I played it even though I shouldn't have because the Lakers were coming off of a traveling back to back, and Anthony Davis was out, so I should have seen fatigue was was going to be bad, but I'm shifting off of some of the earlier season trends and I'm finding new ones. So like people that have followed my props earlier in the year don't think that those are still the same night after night after night. I've isolated some other guys. I mean, Brooklyn, their entire season has changed with the Kyrie, Harden, and then Durant is out tonight. So you have to look at different props there. You've got some different dynamics with teams. Some teams are giving up. Some teams are looking stronger for the playoffs. We're starting to get to the what do we do moving forward? Are we trading anybody? So you have to keep your eye on some of those. And then, of course, you got teams like the Wizards who are getting a ton of guys back from their big COVID break, but at the same time, Bradley Beal wants out. So
I feel bad for him, honestly, Andy. Feel bad for him.
I do too.
I do too. And I don't know what the trade is.
Like I hadn't made a picks in so long in the NBA sidewise, and I was like, yeah, I'm taking the Rockets. I was like, I am fading the Wizards. I looked at that. It was a storyline pick. It was only a 3% bet, but that's how I've been with the NBA. Like I have 2 picks right now up in the NBA, and that's the most I've had in one night in probably a month.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's been a couple of nights with props where I was like, I'm not feeling anything. I'm just not going to have any. Not going to have any picks, and I don't think that's a bad thing when you're going through this season. I don't know what the quote is. I'd rather win a pick I didn't make than lose one that I did I did make. So sometimes less is more. So, but the props. I'm going to be finishing strong. I think I got a really really good feel for this season. I'm pretty excited. So. All right, guys, do we have anything else? Andrew, what do you got going on this weekend?
I just have my package up tonight for the NBA, and then tomorrow is just a slam-packed day for hockey. And it's we talked last week about NHL props, and I said at the start I was going to start giving out more props, and it was kind of discouraging because I didn't realize how many sites were going to be able to offer them. But it seems to me now that the more I look, and whether you're living in the United States or Canada or anywhere else, Europe, wherever you are, you're at least able to get goal scoring props. So tomorrow's package will be the first day where I'm putting in not just one goal scoring prop, but a few different ones. And, the scheduling's been so weird, Andy. Tonight, 1 game, last night, bunch of games, night before that, 2 games. So it sucks we have to deal with it like that. But, looking forward to, hopefully finding a winner tonight in the NBA. I have a small play as well in the NHL, and then tomorrow is just a jam-packed card. So that's what I'd really advise people to check out and use that coupon code as well for the props. We'll be loading it up all week.
Yeah, it's a weird weekend. There's no UFC. There's no football. It's kind of a very strange weekend. Matt, I'm assuming you got college basketball?
Yeah, college basketball. I always enjoy those days, Andrew, when there's not a lot of games. I think it's like a mental break. Now that I'm doing the NBA too, it's nice to see when there's Thursdays and there are only 3 and 4 games. It's like nice. I get to, to take it a little easy. I am excited because I think the NFL award show is the day before the Super Bowl, so I'll finally get to cash my Alex Smith comeback player of the year bet, which would be nice. But yeah, college basketball and NBA props. And then, as you said, all weekend, I'm going to start diving into the Super Bowl props and start putting stuff up in the package. And as you can see on the bottom, Prop 10 gets our stuff for $19. That's nice.
And don't forget, Friday, talk about the biggest show of the year. We are going over all of the Super Bowl props. It'll be a really, really good show, ending with the propsies. We have trophies. We have our favorite props of the year. It should be an absolutely amazing Friday show for next week. Probably the best show that we've done all year. We already know what most of the awards are going to be, and they are nothing short of incredible. I mean, nothing short of amazing. So good. So, listen, I know it's not the best weekend for props, but just because it's Super Bowl week, don't forget about NHL props. Don't forget about college basketball. Don't forget about NBA. Any winning ticket is a winning ticket. It still spends the same. So, I think that's all we got for this week. Matt, thanks for joining. Andrew, thanks for joining. And we're gearing up for a huge Super Bowl week next week. And thank you, everyone who joined us. Really, really appreciate it. Chip, thanks for jumping in. Johnny, appreciate it. Chip Guy and Ashley, of course, and Darren. Matt, Darren, I believe, is your number one fan. He told me I interrupt you too much.
You do not interrupt me. I talk too much. You guys are the ones who should be talking more. So he's a little off on that one.
And with that being said, I'll give you a little. You had to go on.
What?
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Hope you guys have a profitable weekend. Can't wait for next week, and we will see you for the end of the NFL season version of Prop It Up. See you guys next week.
See you guys.